interesting pieces of information. And then he loves to tell me about them because he knows that I also like small, interesting pieces of information. But when we were younger, he used to sort of just make stuff up. So whenever he would say something like that, I knew that I couldn't always trust what he said because he saw something on TV and then made it up. I don't know. It just wasn't always credible, wasn't always trustworthy. So just because you say something, or just because you write something and people are listening to it, doesn't mean they're going to believe you, right? So you've got to prove that you should be taken seriously, that you should be believed, that people should trust you. And when you're doing academic writing, the way to do that is to use good sources. Yes. What constitutes a good source? It's quality. It's quality. Now, quality means different things depending on the situation, what kind of project you're doing, what the topic is, that sort of thing. So, we're going to talk about how do you know what sources are the best for your topic and how credible they are and what kind of quality information you're going to find in them. And I understand there is a truckload of information on this handout, but don't panic, okay? I'm just gonna hit the highlights and you can read this on your own, and I will be posting this on Blackboard sometime soon after class. So, source type number 1. Of course, this is one of my favorites. Books. Ta-da! We know about this. We see them all the time. Hopefully you read them all the time. Yes? How many of you, just out of curiosity, how many of you actually take out some book or some novel, something like that, and read for pleasure? Not just what you have to read for class, but just for fun.
Yeah, I do.
You do?
News.
News? Okay. Other things? Other kinds of books?
Harry Potter.
Everybody did that.
Yeah.
Disagree. But I know it cannot be a resource for research.
No, it can be. Actually, one of my colleagues wrote a very, very, very large paper about Harry Potter. And I'm trying to think, she wrote something about father figures in Harry Potter's life throughout the series, something like that. So yes, she used the Harry Potter books as resources. Like I said, it depends on what kind of project you're doing as to what kind of sources you're going to need, right? So, books. Usually, these are well respected, they're reliable, they have in-depth information, they're very, very good. But some books, the problem with some books is that they are biased. Biased means that they only look at the topic from one perspective. So, when you are doing your research, you're going to want to make sure that the book you've chosen to look at, if it is biased, then you've got to find other sources from other points of view to kind of balance it out. Or you just try to choose a book that's really objective, that looks at everything from all different points of view. Let me see. Now, for example, back during the election time last year, I saw a book called Abomination. Now, that's a play on words for President Obama's name. Obama and nation together. But when you say it out loud, it sounds like the English word abomination. An abomination is something that's really, 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 really horrible. Right? So you know, just by looking at the title of that book, that it's probably somewhat biased, right? So you're going to want to choose some other books if you want to use that abomination book, you also got to choose some other sources that have positive things to say about the president, right? Okay, now, I was telling you my little tidbit of information here. It does take a little bit of extra effort to use a book source, because you have to flip through the pages, read through it more deeply, like that. But, works cited entries for books are easier to write than works cited entries for other kinds of sources. So, if you're willing to take an extra 5 or 10 or 20 minutes to read through a book and find the information that you want, it will take a very short time for you to make the works cited entry, because those kind of works cited entries are shorter and nicer. I like them. I don't know about you.
I'd have to.
Maybe it doesn't matter to you guys, but it did to me when I was doing this. So, okay, periodicals. Now, periodical is a term that covers 3 different kinds of sources, and I think we've talked a little bit about this before. Periodicals include academic journals, newspapers, and magazines. So, as I just mentioned, academic journal articles are very, very high quality and very specialized about certain topics. Basically, when you become a scholar, when you become a professor, your goal is to do research and publish it in a journal. And so everything that comes in these journals comes straight from scholars. And when you write some article and you are trying to publish it, you have to choose the journal that just fits the kind of article that you have written. Like, for example, when I write articles and papers, I am more interested in linguistics and also about kind of cultural aspects of linguistics. I wrote a paper about letters written by a soldier during the American Civil War. Those guys, when they wrote letters back to their families, they had some unusual ways of structuring their words. They would split words apart or smash words together in ways that you're not supposed to do that. And so my question in my research was, why was he doing that? Why were they all doing that? Why was it such a problem? And it has to do with the type of education that they received, and also the level of education that they had. And the way they were educated is very, very different from the way that we teach people how to read and write today. So they made different kinds of mistakes in their writing than students make today, which is why it looks so strange to us today when we look at it. So, newspapers. Of course we know about these. Very excellent for current events and people stuff. Also, magazines are the same way. But magazines sometimes tend to be a little bit less credible. So you do have to be careful. Like Time, Newsweek, some of those very, very highly respected ones are very credible. Don't worry. You know, if you want to use that, you're going to find the information to be very credible. But some other magazine, like, I don't know, let's think. Some random magazine published by a group of college students or whatever is not going to be overly credible. So be careful. All right. Our next thing, encyclopedias. How many of you use Wikipedia to find information online? Wikipedia? That is an online encyclopedia.